So,
Goodbye, right? Melissa.
Good evening, folks. My name is Robert Cristiano. I'm the chairman of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. Tonight's meeting is a regular meeting of the commission held here in the City Hall Auditorium and also accessible via Zoom, phone link, and YouTube Live. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Pastor, please call the roll.
Chairman Cristiano,
Present.
Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Motto is absent. Commissioner Harger. Here. Commissioner Ticky.
Here.
Commissioner Apple.
Here.
Commissioner McGee.
Here.
Commissioner Bertola. Myself, Alexandria Castro, Corporation Counsel Attorney Teodosio. Not here. Attorney McCoy.
Here.
Oh, hi. Attorney McCoy.
Here.
Dominic DeGanchi.
Present.
Ava Martino. Present. Nicole Guzman. Stephanie Charbonneau.
Present.
And Brianna Cole.
Present.
Alternate Commissioner McGee, you'll be seated in place of Commissioner Amato for tonight.
Heard. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to discuss an item not on tonight's agenda may do so. Those in the auditorium will be recognized first. Those participating remotely may use Zoom raise your hand feature or dial *9 on the phone. All speakers will be allowed up to 5 minutes. Please clearly state your name for the record when called upon by the recording secretary. Ms. Castro, or anyone wish to be heard? One person signed up, Mark Connolly. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mark Connolly, 54 Trap Falls Road Extension in Shelton. I'm talking about referral 824. I didn't see a public comment section on that.
So you cannot discuss any item that's on the agenda tonight.
When is that public hearing will be?
There's no public hearing on 824 referral.
Okay. So the public voice is silenced. So
Read the rules
public voice has cannot voice their opinion on that.
on 824. No.
Okay. So how does someone bring that forward for educational purposes? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyone else in the auditorium that would like to make a public comment? Castro, is there anyone on Zoom raising their hand or dialing *9?
I'm adding in list of names Sherry. You can speak. Sherry, you've been given permission to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, there's a lot of feedback and I can't understand what people are saying. I'm on Zoom.
Okay, ma'am, do you have any Do you have any feedback or any public comment? Ma'am, any public comment?
Not at this time. Just the feedback, which is hard for me to understand, you guys.
If you want, you can try it on YouTube to see if that's better. It sounds like you have, the sound
Okay, I'll try
coming-
that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Discussion?
No.
Not good. Next item is the application for certificates of public compliance. Ms. Martino, I understand that the sign committee has met regarding the 6 sign applications listed on the agenda. What is the recommendation of the subcommittee?
All the signs are recommended for approval.
All those in favor of approving the sign? Yes.
On my choice smoke shop, on a monument sign, there's positioning at the very bottom. Two spaces up is blank, and there's another blank one further up on the right column. Is there any feedback from sign company as to why they chose something? It's so low to the ground. I don't know how to do that.
I could find out specific placement.
Yeah, okay, that's all.
They may want it in a way.
That will follow up on that question by Commissioner Harder. All those in favor of approving the sign applications as recommended by the subcommittee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. I'll be moving agenda items. Moving the agenda items, I'll be swapping the other business with the public hearing section. The next item on the agenda is for public hearings. Both items this evening are continuations of public hearings opened at a prior meeting. Before we proceed, I will share the protocol for comment. Ms. Castro will indicate if any written comments were received from members of the public no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening's meeting. If written comments were received, they will be read into the record. The applicant and/or its associates will continue their presentation to provide any new information. The Commission may ask questions during the presentation or at its conclusion. The applicant and/or associates may answer the Commission's questions at the time they are presented or at the conclusion of the presentation. Any member of the public wishing to address the Commission on this application may do so by using Zoom raise your hand feature or dialing *9 on your phone. Those in the auditorium will be recognized first. Each speaker has 5 minutes to present comments, which should address specific criteria of the zoning regulations, the merits of the application,
have to do that.
give you new information, not a repeat of
You can tell they were
comments presented by a previous speaker. Comments and questions should be directed to the Commission, not the applicant or their associates. Members of the public are expected to practice appropriate etiquette by being quiet, observant, and respectful. Disruptive attendees may be removed from verbally participating. The applicant's attorney and/or associates will be given the opportunity to address any comments or questions from the public after the last person from the public has been given the opportunity to speak. If the Commission feels further information is needed by the applicant, the chair will ask for a motion to continue the public hearing. If a public hearing remains open, the Commission is not allowed to make any public comment, discuss any part of the applicant's presentation, or receive any additional information from anyone. The Commission feels all questions or concerns have been addressed, the public hearing will close. The Commission reserves the right to discuss the application at the close of the public hearing or to schedule discussion at an upcoming meeting. At either time, the Commission will be asked by the chair how it wishes to proceed. Application 2515, Stephen Bellis for Hidden Pond Meadows LLC at 21 Jonathan Lane, Assessor's Map 162, Lot 10, consisting of plus or minus 1.75 acres and Zero Beardsley Road, Assessors Map 132, Lot 1, consisting of plus or minus 23.9 acres for a re-subdivision to allow 13 residential single-family lots following the R1 zoning district requirements. Continuation of public hearing and possible action. This is a continuation of a public hearing on application 2615. The application was last heard on May 13th. Ms. Castro, will you please read aloud any additional exhibits, reports, or correspondence that have been submitted for the record, received no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening's meeting that need to be acknowledged?
New items added to the record for Exhibit 17, which were the revised plan set dated May 22nd, 2026. Exhibit 18, which is the revised engineering report dated May 22nd, 2026. Exhibit 19 is the engineer response to the city engineer's comments. Exhibit 20 is the city engineer's comments. Exhibit 21 is public comment from Catherine Hilser.
Thank you. The applicant, please identify yourself.
Yes,
And proceed with the presentation.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, I'm attorney Stephen Bellis, and I represent the applicant. I'm with the Pellegrino Law Firm in New Haven, and I live in Shelton. I want to thank the chair and the zoning commission for moving this matter. I appreciate it very much since I have another hearing tonight. The meeting is, as the chair stated, was held on May 13th. We couldn't close the hearing at that night because we did not have the wetlands approval. It was the following night. So I have the minutes of the meeting of May 14th, where the Wetlands Commission approved the application. So I could hand that in if you don't mind. The second matter that I needed to discuss with the commission, I've been dealing with Kelly, who's here. And there is, just to be clear, when I did this years and years and years ago, it was an original subdivision. We already donated the open space, so that was already done. What I'm talking about here tonight is that there's an additional 4.5 acres of open space that was kind of negotiated with the city, the Jones family, and the applicant. And I'm asking the zoning commission to make an affirmative 824 referral to the Board of Aldermen so that there can be a purchase of that open space. It's up on the screen and I have copies for everybody. Highlighted.
For the map on the screen, it's the area that is lying on the lower right section.
So the area that you see on your little map is kind of highlighted in black. If you take that funny space, what it does is it does a connection to other open space that the city already has. So that was that's how they came up with this design. So it was not something the applicant did on its own. It was in coordination with the neighbor and in coordination with the city of Shelton. When I talked to Kelly, she thought, and I agreed, that I presented to you as part of our application, and then you can make the referral to the Board of Aldermen. I believe they're having their hearing tomorrow night. So if you had any questions about that, you can ask me. Other than that, I think everything that the chair said is correct. This is a re-subdivision. You don't see these too often anymore where you get subdivision applications. The nice thing about subdivision applications is if you act administratively, if they meet the regulations, then you approve it. It's my understanding that Chris already testified quite extensively that it does meet the regulations. I've reviewed it, and in my opinion, I believe it meets the subdivision regulations for the city of Shelton. And based on that, I think it should be approved. Just so everyone's clear, there are 13 lots. 12 of them are going to be developed. There's a meadow that's not going to be developed at this time. It could be in the future part of another re-subdivision application, or it may not be. I don't know. But I think everything that I heard tonight was accurate from the chair. There was a comment, I think from, well, I should just say this. Our engineer has responded to all the city engineers' questions and answered them. I think Alexandria gave that up. There was a comment from one of the, maybe someone from the public. I'll let Chris do a 10-second response on that.
Thank you, Steve. For the record, my name is Chris Pulowski. I'm a licensed civil engineer in the state of Connecticut, owner of C&K Engineering offices here in Shelton. Very quickly, we did receive a comment letter dated June 7th from a neighbor where the town did. And they had just had some concerns. They're at the bottom of Beech Tree Hill Road on the corner and just come up the hill. There's an existing drainage area or easement that drains off to the side of their house and continues down the hillside. I just wanted to inform the commission that we do meet or reduce all the stormwater peak flows on our property. In addition, we're also installing in the revised plans, you'll see a 48-unit underground stormwater concrete galley system to further help alleviate any stormwater concerns downstream. We've reviewed, analyzed in detail, and gone over with the town engineer our drainage design pre and post conditions, so we do not have any concerns or any major impacts on this downstream property as a result of our design. Just wanted to make that clear in the record. So thank you.
Anything else, Colin? I think that's it, Mr. Chair. Excuse me one second. Yeah, my client was just reminding me, but I do remember from them many years ago that we did meet the open space requirements already for the whole project. I think, yeah.
Correct.
Any commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was, of course, you know.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all again very much and appreciate seeing you. Thanks for moving me as well.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'd like to open this up to the public. Ms. Castro, is there anyone wishing to address application? Frank Donato.
Hello, I'm Frank Donato, and I have a couple of questions about this whole project. Number one, I want to know, how does a plan that connects Jonathan Lane with Beech Tree Hill Road, adding a new roadway with approximately a dozen new homes now and 5 to be added, from what I understand, later on, with an additional cul-de-sac, does not warrant every resident of these 2 streets getting a letter? All of this addition of homes, pavement, asphalt, septics will increase storm water flow. And this doesn't warrant the notice of every resident of these 2 blocks? All the construction equipment and disruption that this project will cause doesn't warrant a letter to all the residents of these 2 cul-de-sacs? I live at 15 Beech Tree Hill Road. We have a pooling area and wooded low spots with seasonal streams all around our house. Do you think we warranted a letter? And I want to follow up. That was my daughter's letter that was sent to the, that you received. That was my daughter. She speaks much better than I do, but she's at my grandson's game tonight. I can't be there because I wanted to be here. By the way, if anybody's interested, Shelton High School is playing for the state championship in volleyball tonight. So I'm waiting for the results. Some of the, what was that, James? So anyway, but I wanted to follow up on some of our questions, and she wants to know, how does the post-development peak runoff rate and concentration compare to existing sheet flow conditions of downsflow properties? Where does the emergency overflow, and this is most important, go with extreme rainfall events, which have become increasingly common in Connecticut? What insurances exist that the proposed stormwater systems will continue to function as designed years from now, or if the ground doesn't absorb water as well as expected, or maintenance is not performed properly, or not as well, or not at all? I'm not an engineer, but as Yogi Berra said, you can observe a lot by watching. And I've seen a lot in my lifetime. I've seen communities create problems by measures both large and small. I have seen water issues due to construction changes, both large and small. It's an accumulation. It's an accumulative occurrence. Do we really know how much development this area can support? What is the tipping point of our community's development? How delicate is the ecosystem that we live in? We also understand that the son of the property owner is the engineer on the project. Now, as my daughter stated, while we are not suggesting any wrongdoing, as I have read, he is working closely with the city engineer, which I believe will ensure careful and independent review. As previously stated, we request that the commission require additional downstream drainage analysts and all consequences are fully evaluated before rendering a final decision on this application. I have been told by my neighbors on Beech Tree Hill Road that we are phase 1 and that this project is phase 2. I did not know that there was always an established plan. I didn't need someone to tell me that developers would eye this property. It is so tempting. They all spoke highly of the landowner and were confident that he will do this project as promised. That gives me some relief. But when you look at these plans, and I wish they were still up there, when you look at these plans, you see lines, you see diagrams, you see catch basins, etc. What you don't see is the community, not only the people, but the world we live in. I invite you to come, everybody here, I invite you to come, look at this section of White Hills and see what will be changed as this application goes forward. Excuse me for being so loud, but everybody else seems to talk and I can't hear a thing. So thank you for your time and service. And that's all I had to say about that, but I just wanted to make my statement and go to the game maybe.
Scott, for the record, Alternate Commissioner Bertola arrived at 6:25 p.m. Scott, is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak in this application? Scott, is there anyone online? Oh, sorry, sir.
How are you?
Good, yourself? Your name, sir?
My name is Mark Yash. I live at 25 Beech Tree Hill Road. I was one of the original 3 houses on Beech Tree Hill Road. I've been there 40 years. And the development happened while I was there, and John did a great job on the development of that property and out that road.
I cannot hear anything on Zoom. Just went out.
It's green again. You can hear me? Great.
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I'm speaking in favor of the project. I know it's going to be an additional neighbors on my street, but when they built that original project, they did a good job on constructing the road. They used good quality materials, and the project was built by a number of good developers. So I think it all worked out in the end. And the only if there's a challenge, I know there's part of the street near my house is Shelton open space, and that doesn't seem to be maintained at all. We got weeds and overgrown trees growing over the road. So hopefully we can make sure that any open space is maintained, that the city owns as part of the project going forward. That's all I really have to say about it. I wish them well, and thank you for my time.
Thanks. Anyone else in the auditorium? Pastor, is anyone else online? They're using Starline?
No.
Okay. far to any of the comments?
Yes, I'll be very brief. You all may remember this was a Hudak land that John Pulowski inherited. And John is still right here on the front row, and he's still responsible for this project, he and his brother Robert. So they're the ones that are proposing it. Has my name on it, but I have nothing to do with it other than being the lawyer. The gentleman that spoke, I appreciate his concern. I hear it often in many towns about storm drainage, so it's not like I haven't heard it before. But I wanted to let the commission know that the system was designed for the 100-year storm. It was also designed to meet the 2024 deep guidelines for storm water reduction and quality. And that's the best you can really do as far as I've seen. So I do believe it meets all the standards.
Mr. Bells, can you speak to the notification for neighbors?
Yes. So generally you look at your subdivision regulations. That's what I do. I look at the regulations and it says you have to give notice to anyone within 500 feet of the property, and that's what we did. We also did another notice in addition to that. Not that we had to, but we do it as a matter of course when there's a public hearing. We also let those people know that there's a public hearing. So even though we followed the subdivision regulations for notice, we also did an additional notice that you traditionally do in your zoning regulations. Yeah, and that one is 100 feet in your regulations. That's all I have.
How would the commission like to proceed with the hearing?
Move to close the hearing.
Okay. All in favor to close the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to close the public hearing. I request that staff prepare a resolution in advance. Castro, will you please read the proposed resolution aloud?
Mr. Chairman, before we go further, the point of order, commission was given this resolution at 5 o'clock by text message. There's a heck of a lot here to absorb. While I'm more than comfortable for this to be read into the record, this is an awful lot to be absorbed. And I just think it's, we have to be careful that we are doing our due diligence and giving ourselves time to evaluate everything. Sometimes things that seem to be on the surface be cut and dry, they're not. So I'm just, I'm getting that to the attention of commissioners. That's all.
I understand.
Thank you.
Castro.
Application 2615, Stephen Bellis for Hidden Meadow Estates LLC at 21 Jonathan Lane, Assessors Map 162, Lot 10, consisting of plus or minus 1.75 acres, and 0 Beardsley Road, Assessors Map 132, Lot 1, consisting of plus or minus 23.9 acres, for re-subdivision to allow 13 residential single-family lots following the R1 zoning district requirements. The applicant has filed an application to re-subdivide the subject properties to allow 13 residential single-family lots in conformance with the R1 zoning district requirements, together with the construction of approximately 1,150 linear feet of new roadway connecting the existing Jonathan Lane to the existing cul-de-sac at Beech Tree Hill Road. The application is a re-subdivision because the parcels were previously created as a part of the original Hidden Meadow Estates subdivision. Following exhibits were submitted and made part of the record. Exhibit 1, Hidden Meadow Estate Plan Set. Exhibit 2, Engineering Report. Exhibit 3 is the Statement of Uses and Standards. Exhibit 4 is the legal description. Exhibit 5 is the abutter list. Exhibit 6 is the abutter notification letter. Exhibit 7 is a sign posting photo. Exhibit 8 is a certificate of mailing notification letter. Exhibit 9 is a certificate of mailing public hearing notice. Exhibit 10 is the Naugatuck Valley Health District approval letter. Exhibit 11 is the notice of hearing. Exhibit 12 is the fire marshal review. Exhibit 13 is the city engineer review dated May 12, 2026. Exhibit 14 is the Conservation Commission comments. Exhibit 15 is the letter to Department of Public Health. Exhibit 16 is the letter to Aquarion, notice to Aquarion. Exhibit 17 is the revised plan set dated May 22nd, 2026. Exhibit 18 is the revised engineering report dated May 22nd, 2026. Exhibit 19 is the engineering response to the city engineer comments. Exhibit 20 is the city engineer review dated June 3rd, 2026. And Exhibit 21 is the public comment from Catherine Pilser. Mission findings. 1, the application was submitted in accordance with the subdivision regulations of the city of Shelton and the applicable provisions of the Connecticut General Statutes. 2, the original Hidden Meadow Estate subdivision, Beech Tree Hill Road, Pine Tree Hill Road section, comprising roughly 50 to 55 acres, was reviewed and approved by this commission in 1988, 1999, and 2005. At that time, the overall development, including this future expansion, was planned, and the roadway, drainage, and utilities were stubbed at the Beech Tree Hill Road cul-de-sac in anticipation of the connection to Jonathan Lane now proposed. 3, the application proposes 13 total lots, 1 existing residence at 21 Jonathan Lane, the lot line of which is to be modestly revised to conform to the new layout, 11 new single-family residential building lots, and 1 large lot, lot 24, that is to remain as an existing meadow/hayfield at this time. Lot 24 is shown with schematic future lots and will not be built during this phase. That area is to remain 1 undeveloped land with potential for future development, subject to commission review and approval. Four, all proposed building lots are a minimum of 40,000 square feet, and all lot dimensions and setbacks conform to the standards of the R1 zoning district. 5, all lots are to be served by individual subsurface sewage disposal septic systems. The Naugatuck Valley Health District has issued a preliminary approval indicating that septic systems are feasible for the proposed lots. 6, stormwater management is provided by 3 stormwater basins. The drainage and stormwater systems have been designed to meet or reduce peak runoff flows from existing to proposed conditions for storm events up to and including the 100-year storm, and to treat the water quality volume from the increased impervious area in conformance with the City of Shelton engineering standards and the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Management Regulations. Soil erosion and sediment controls have been designed in accordance with the 2024 Connecticut Soil and Erosion Connecticut Control Guidelines, with the limit of disturbance of less than 5 acres for the roadway construction. The properties lie within the Aquarion Water Company public water supply watershed. The applicant has notified the Aquarion Water Company and the Connecticut Department of Public Health in accordance with this application, with the applicable requirements. A water main extension is provided and is under review by Aquarion. The extension would connect 2 existing dead-end mains on Jonathan Lane and the Beech Tree Hill Road into a loop system. Fire marshal reviewed the application and provided comment. Final fire hydrant locations are subject to the review and approval of the fire marshal. The application was referred to the Inland Wetlands Commission, which approved the application during their May 2026 meeting. The Conservation Commission, following the applicant's appearance at its January 7, 2026 meeting, expressed consensus to endorse the application with the formal opinion letter received from the Conservation Commission. The open space set aside, or fee in lieu of, otherwise applicable under subdivision regulations and Connecticut general statutes, has already been satisfied for the entire original parcel. The original Hidden Meadow Estate subdivision deeded in excess of 11 acres of open space, more than 20% of the original parcel, which substantially exceeds the minimum open space requirement, which is approximately 10%. That dedication was intended to and does satisfy the open space obligation for the original parcel for all subsequent and future subdivision of that parcel, including this re-subdivision. Accordingly, no additional open space dedication or fee in lieu is required of the applicant for this re-subdivision. Separately, the applicant proposes approximately 4.54 additional acres of open space in connection with an ongoing negotiation among the city of Shelton, which is subject to the approval of the Board of Aldermen. This additional open space is offered as a benefit beyond the applicable requirement. It is not a condition or contingency of this approval. In the event the city's acquisition of or the agreement concerning that additional open space does not proceed, the open space requirement for this re-subdivision remains fully satisfied by the prior dedication described above, and this approval is unaffected. The city engineer by letter dated June 3rd, 2026, reviewed the proposal, found the stormwater management plan sound as to both runoff detention and stormwater quality enhancement, stated that the office had no major reservations, and recommended approval subject to conditions set forth below. The commission received public comment, including comments concerning upstream runoff to Meansbrook and long-term performance subsurface disposal systems on lots near the wetland and watercourse, as well as comments concerning the density of development in proximity to existing residences. The applicant responded that there's no direct wetland disturbance, that no septic system is located within 50 feet of a wetland, and that the substantial open space buffers the development from abutting properties. On the basis of the findings and concerns set forth above, the following resolution is offered for consideration. Resolution. Whereas the applicant, Hidden Meadow Estates LLC by Stephen Bellis, has submitted a complete application 2615, for approval of a re-subdivision to create 13 residential single-family building lots conforming to the R1 zoning district requirements on the properties at Jonathan Lane, Assessors Map 162, Lot 10, and 0 Bearsley Road, Assessors Map 132, Lot 1. And whereas the proposed re-subdivision constitutes fourth and final phase of the Hidden Meadow Estates subdivision, originally approved by this commission in 1988, 1999, and 2005, for which roadway, drainage, and utility infrastructure was stubbed in anticipation of this connection. And whereas the application was referred to and reviewed by the appropriate agencies, including the city engineer, fire marshal, Inland Wetlands Commission, Conservation Commission, Naugatuck Valley Health District, the Aquarium Water Company, and the Connecticut Department of Public Health, in accordance with the subdivision regulations and Connecticut general statutes. Whereas the commission held a duly noticed public hearing on the application, which hearing was opened, continued, and closed, during which the applicant presented its proposal through its professional engineer, and members of the public were afforded the opportunity to be heard. And whereas the commission has received and given due consideration to the report of the Inland Wetlands Commission as required by Connecticut general statutes, and whereas the commission is familiar with the applicable provisions of subdivision regulations and the zoning regulations of the city of Shelton, and has reviewed and discussed the subject proposal in detail and subject to the comments and findings set forth above, the commission notes the following. A, the application complies with the applicable requirements of the subdivision regulations and the R1 zoning district provisions of the Shelton zoning regulations, with approval of a roadway pavement width waiver as recommended by the city engineer listed in item A below. B, all necessary referrals have been made in accordance with the subdivision regulations and the Connecticut general statutes. C, the open space requirement applicable to this re-subdivision has been satisfied by the open space previously dedicated in connection with the original Hidden Meadow Estates subdivision, which exceeded the minimum requirement. No additional open space dedication or fee in lieu is required, and the separately proposed plus or minus 4.54 acres of additional open space is a benefit, not a condition of this approval. D, the proposed lots, roadway, drainage, and improvements are consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood and with the development for which the original subdivision was approved. Now therefore, on the basis of the findings and concerns noted above, the various representations made at the public hearing and the discussions of the commission, the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission, in accordance with the provisions of the subdivision regulations and Connecticut general statutes, hereby takes the following action. A, to approve or deny the application of Stephen Bellis for Hidden Meadow Estates LLC, application 2615 for a re-subdivision creating 13 residential single-family lots conforming to the R1 zoning district requirements as shown on the plan set titled Hidden Meadow Estates, consisting of 10 sheets dated March 6, 2026, last revision May 22nd, 2026, prepared by C&K Engineering, together with the following associated relief: the roadway pavement width waiver. Approval of a reduced roadway pavement width of 26 feet while retaining the full 50-foot right-of-way to be conveyed to the city of Shelton. The reduced pavement width is found appropriate because it matches the existing roadway, minimizes new impervious area and stormwater runoff, and reflects the quiet, non-through traffic nature of the neighborhood. Conditions, if approved, following conditions should apply, including those recommended by the city engineer in the letter dated June 3rd, 2026 shall apply. 1. Entrances to the detention pond shall be paved with gravel drive access. 2. Pavement thickness shall be 4 inches, consisting of 2 inches of class 1 binder and 2 inches of class 2 wearing course. 3. Existing driveways at the cul-de-sacs, including 3 Beech Tree Hill Road and the affected Jonathan Lane abutter, shall be extended to meet the new pavement, and affected front lawns shall be restored, all at the applicant's expense. 4. A subdivision bond shall be posted in the amount of $412,000. The erosion and sediment control bond shall be determined by the Planning and Zoning Commission / staff. 5. The applicant shall obtain a general permit for the discharge of the stormwater and dewatering associated with construction activities, and a copy of the applicant's registration review form shall be submitted to the city, Planning and Zoning, Inland Wetlands and Engineering. 6. Fencing shall be provided around the proposed stormwater basins as required by the city engineer. 7. Stormwater basins on lot 23 shall be converted to subsurface stormwater units, concrete galleries, or arch chambers to the satisfaction of the city engineer. 8. Fire hydrant locations shall be reviewed and approved by the fire marshal. 9. Final approvals or sign-offs shall be obtained from Inland Wetlands, Naugatuck Valley Health, the Aquarium Water Company, Connecticut Department of Public Health, and United Illuminating Company as applicable prior to the start of corresponding work. 10. Drainage easements, the city of Shelton in a form acceptable to the city. 11. The additional plus or minus 4.54 acres of open space referenced in the findings is acknowledged as a benefit and not as a condition of this approval. The open space requirement for this re-subdivision is satisfied by prior dedication and shall remain satisfied regardless of the outcome of any separate open space acquisition or agreement. If approved, this approval is subject to the applicant's satisfaction of all conditions set forth above and to the filing of the final approved subdivision map and all required documents in the office of the town or city clerk within the time prescribed by the Connecticut general statutes. The endorsement of the final map shall not occur until all conditions precedent have been met to the satisfaction of the commission and its staff.
Thank you, Ms. Castro. In addition to the change in paragraph 2 of the resolution, does anyone have any questions?
Chairman, just to talk about question 2, I understand the 4 because there was 1988, 99, and 05,
Right.
but it says final, and it appears that there's still one more phase left of this project that we're not addressing at this time. So would it be wise if we remove that from this paragraph?
4th phase.
It's in the 4th, right? This is the 4th phase of this 4th time Commissioners Act.
You're
But
correct.
it's not gonna be the final one, because he's got one more lot.
Right, was the correction, whereas the proposed re-subdivision constitutes the fourth phase of the interim?
Yeah, that's what Mr. Apple was saying.
I think that's what it should read. I'm not sure that's what the correction was.
Oh,
Remove,
Yeah,
remove and final.
right.
Yeah.
So remove second and final and replace it with fourth.
I have question on, the following conditions. The next to last page, number one, talking about the entrances to the detention ponds shall be paved with gravel drive access. How is that maintained after the subdivision is completed?
It's typically monitored by the city engineer, these are his requests.
Okay, so that's
It would be
maintained throughout.
reviewed by the city,
Mhm.
engineer, but the owner.
that's standard practice, correct?
Yeah, review is one thing, but making sure that it's maintained with another.
Right, what I'm saying is that the gravel access is standard.
Yeah, I am,
Right.
Engineering requirements, so if the city engineer has concerns, he would have to contact the property owner, make sure that they maintain it.
right, okay, so somebody is gonna monitor it. Okay, and then the only other one was number 6, fencing shall be provided around the proposed stormwater basins as required by the city engineer. Do you have any idea of what kind of style of fencing are we talking about? Let's see there.
This was had in discussion with the applicant and the city engineer. I don't know if you wanna, call on the applicant, he can potentially clarify that.
Yeah, I would myself. I've just get an idea of what they're planning, what the city engineer and the applicant. Had a consensus on. Thank you.
I apologize. The question is regarding the,
Fencing basins.
yes, so there's 2 stormwater basins proposed, and there's going to be split rail fence around both the basins. There's a detail on the plan set as well. Just one other minor note, I believe the resolution said 11 lots or 12. There's 13 new lots, only 12 are being developed at this time. So that's just one other thing that I caught. Thank you.
But the existing house.
That would be 14. Thank you. And there was a access question, the first 5 or 10 feet to the basins, there's just going to be a little gravel apron, so just so the city knows where the access would be. Marissa and I discussed that at length. Thank you.
Given what the applicant said, so on commission findings number 3, the application proposes 13 total lots, 1 existing. So it would be 14 total lots.
Yeah.
So we should add it from 13 to 14. Yeah. 14 and 1 existing.
One quick question. It says that the planning and zoning commission or the staff is going to determine the bond for erosion sedimentation.
Yeah, staff
Making your recommendation, tonight to do that.
Staff has a formula that they handle in-house, coming up with that. It's been formalized over the last year or so, on how they come up with that, and so staff handles that.
We do not have a calculation today, but we can update you at the next meeting.
So, are you not voting on that tonight?
No. It can be discussed at a future meeting.
Can we just make sure, going back to the number 3, that the Commissioner Tiki brought up, the application proposes now 14 is the corrected number. Okay, 1 existing residence at 21 Jonathan Lane, and it goes on to 11 new single family. Is that shit not supposed to be 12?
What page are you on?
Okay, 13. Okay, so that's
What page are you on?
second page, commission findings number 3.
Yeah, so 21 Jonathan is an existing lot, and there are 13 new lots.
13. Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
13 plus 1 or 12.
There is 21 Jonathan Lane is an existing lot. There are 13 new lots in addition to 21 Jonathan Lane. And only 12 will be built. I think that's where the confusion is coming. One is Mania Meadow. So there's 13 new
The
lots.
way this reads, it says 11 new single-family residential building lots and 1 large lot. So that should
Be 12 and 1. That's correct. Thank you.
That's
Any other comments, questions? Okay.
how would you?
So I would just recommend that as part of the, resolution, that the commission state that obviously this is the city of Shelter, in the expansion of open space, but you famously refer the proposed 4.5 acres proposed by the city of Shelter. So just put in the rotate that, and you have it there, you can state it in the resolution, but you say that. if
You
you're inclined.
see where, sorry, it's a lot of the-
Point 11.
Oh, yes, thank you. Commissioner Tippett. It stated that the commission favorably refers the proposed 4.5 acre purchase to the Board of Aldermen, the city of Shelter.
So they don't have to get that. So in number 11, it says the additional 4.5 acres open spaces. Now, we're kind of bit and go on for 2 or 3 sentences. You think we should add then that the commission is recommending a positive referral or an 824 referral? A positive 824
A favorable referral,
favorable.
just to make it more clear, it does state that
And the city's
Mr. State,
the city will be considering purchasing
Present.
the Board of Aldermen.
the commission favorably refers the plus or minus 4.5 acres.
The commission issues a favorable referral or a favorable 824 referral. You gotta get the statute. Your resolution just make it deep, right? It's just added to section 11. Okay. So it goes into the other.
Yes, it abuts all the existing dedicated open space. The commission issues a favorable referral to the 824 referral of the plus or minus 4.54 acres for open space.
Favorable 824.
I don't think it is the first referral. Issuing a favorable 824.
Entertain a motion to approve the resolution of application 2615 for the re-subdivision allowing 13 single-family lots with the conditions as modified.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Castro, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cristiano,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartford,
Aye.
Commissioner Dickey.
Aye.
Commissioner Apple,
Aye.
Commissioner McGee.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Next is application 2614. Dominic Thomas for Kristen and Benjamin Perry at 126 Powell Avenue, Assessors Map 106B, Lot 16, consisting of plus or minus 0.76 acres for a zone change to establish a planned development district to allow 36 one- and two-bedroom residential units with on-site parking. Continuation of public hearing and possible action. This is a continuation of hearing on application 2614. The application was last heard on May 13th. Ms. Cash, will you please read aloud any additional exhibits, reports, or correspondence that have been submitted for the record, received no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening meeting that have not need to be acknowledged?
Items received since our last hearing are Exhibit 14, which is a traffic study, Exhibit 15, which is a public comment with petition and signatures. Exhibit 16 is public comment with photos. Exhibit 17 is public comment. Exhibit 18 is public comment with an updated petition and signatures. Exhibit 19 is the public comment with video and photo submission. Exhibit 20 is a public comment on video. Exhibit 21 is a public comment presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, our presentation tonight, we dealt with the presentation and addressed the engineering reports and submitted the revised plans and presented them at the last meeting. Tonight, we will have a presentation by Dave Sullivan, the traffic engineer who submitted the traffic. And I just want to point out again concerning the petitions that are being submitted. Certainly, the city can take the time to have them verified correctly, which is a serious process. But as I pointed out last time, Public Act 25-1 amended, I think it's 8-3 in the regulations. And two things occurred. Number one, you have to have 50% of the people within 500 feet and signing the petition verified that they were property owners. But number two, protest petitions have never had an impact on the city of Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. It's not because you're special. You are special, but it's not because of you're special. It's because of mathematics, because you have 6 members. So when a commission has 6 members, a majority, the statute says, any zone change, which a PDD is, any zone change must be approved by a majority of the members of the commission, not of the majority voting, a majority of the members of the commission. So any zone text change, any zone amendment, any PDD, which falls under that category, needs 4 votes. 4 votes is a majority. 4 votes on a 6-member commission is also a supermajority, because the supermajority is 2/3. So that number has never, in the 40 years that I've been doing this before the commission, when a couple of protest petitions were filed, even then when it was a supermajority. However, the new statute said 500 feet, 50%, and it requires a majority. So it really did, there's no change in the voting is what I'm going to say, no matter whether the petition is valid or invalid. And with that, I will call on David Sullivan, traffic engineer from SLR, to make a presentation.
Good evening. Again, my name is David Sullivan. I'm an engineer with SLR, and I manage the community and mobility planning group there. We conducted a study, and I saw it was just passed out. There's really a couple of parts of the study. The first part I'll go through relatively quickly. It's the operational part with the levels of service, where we're trying to determine if there's any changes in operating conditions because of the traffic that would be added. So we determined the amount of traffic that's being added through Institute of Transportation Engineers. And in this particular case, there would be 14 vehicles in the morning peak hour and in the afternoon peak hour added to the streets. That's in both directions from the site and in plus out from the site. So it's a relatively small amount of traffic. We do a analysis of the traffic before and after the addition of the traffic and come up with levels of service, which are essentially letter grades between A and F. In this case, the offsite intersection we looked at was Park and Howe Avenue. And we found that with or without this traffic, the operating conditions would be the same. In the morning, it's level service C, and in the afternoon, it's a level of service D, both acceptable peak hour levels of service. At the driveway entrance and exit, it would be very good levels of service. Level of service A entering the site, and I believe it was a level of service A as well, but let me confirm that. Yes, level of service A exiting the site onto Park Street. So that was the operational portion of the study. The second part of our studies is to look at the other conditions, the safety conditions, the geometric conditions, and things like that. And there's a few things that came up that the site plan is addressing, and another recommendation that we have. One has to do with the sightline on Park Street as you look on Howe Avenue. When you look to the left, the rock outcropping that's there severely diminishes the ability to see vehicles coming from your left. As part of the site development plan, that rock outcropping will be eliminated and the sight line will be opened up. So a sight line which meets or exceeds the speed limit out there, the posted speed limit, will be created. So a significant improvement, even though it's two town roads and not necessarily the site specifically. This site has the ability to improve an existing condition, which it will do. The second thing was when we originally took a look at the site plan, there were two driveways, both of them full access in and out. We started looking at the sight lines from those driveways. Ultimately, to improve the sightline condition and get it to where we feel it'll be a safe operation, the access has been changed. So the driveway closest to Howe Avenue will now be entrance only, and the other driveway further from Howe Avenue will be exit only. So then the sight lines we need to look at now are from the exit driveway. For the posted speed limit, you would need to see 280 feet. You could see all of that looking to your right, looking to your left, you could see to the intersection, and you could see the vehicles making the turns. Turns are typically made at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So there's enough visibility from that driveway to see the vehicles start making their turns. More importantly, the vehicles making the turn can see vehicles, if they do exit, they have enough time to react and safely stop. That also goes for vehicles that are slowing down to make a right turn into the northerly driveway and a left turn into that driveway as well. So we have a safe sightline condition just by restricting the access to exiting vehicles for the south driveway and entering vehicles from the north driveway. The last thing was we did an evaluation of the crash data out there, and it was stark what we found, that there were not a lot of accidents, but the vast majority of the accidents we found in this vicinity were single vehicle accidents. So we dug a little deeper and found out that these are accidents, I don't know if they're precipitated or contributed to by the curves in the road. Now, DOT currently has a curve sign. How to best describe this? It's almost like an extended S. So you have a small curve going into a larger curve and coming out in another smaller curve. DOT has signs in there, in my opinion, probably too late to warn you about that middle larger curve. Our recommendation is to work with DOT and see if we can get some advance warning signage so that that whole area in both directions has the forewarning that there are some curves ahead, because it appears that those curves are the main contributing factor to what we discovered when we looked at the crash data. So in summary, operationally, we're fine in terms of whether there's an impact or not. And from a safety standpoint, modifications to the site has improved the access so that we have safe access. The site plan itself is improving an existing sightline condition, and the recommendation to work with DOT to see if we can get some additional warning signage up there for this curve situation is recommended. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any question, have any questions? Follow with you.
Thank you.
That curving signage, is that something the developer would work with DOT on, or would the developer work with the city, or how would that process go?
I think the developer should work with DOT. I'm not sure if there probably will be a need for an encroachment permit with the blasting along the side of the, not blasting, the rock removal along the DOT frontage. So as part of the encroachment permit, this could be addressed.
Thank you.
Does the local traffic authority have to weigh in at all, or because of the fact this is a state road, they don't really?
This particular development is not large enough where there's the automatic traffic authority participation. If it was a Office of State Traffic Administration project, which would be much larger, then they automatically have concurrence and participation in that process.
Mr. Sullivan, what's the threshold for that?
200 parking spaces or 100,000 square feet.
Far back did you go on the accident? So,
Okay,
how far back did you go on the accident, sir?
Typically, we do 3 years. I'll double check. 3 years, January 2023 to end of April 2026.
One more thing, while local traffic authority input and output generated, because of the fact that this is a state road, it's not the state police that comes, is it, to, there's an accident, to do accident report. It's the local traffic authority, isn't it?
Yes, I would think so. I would think they would be the first responders, yes.
Okay.
Where does the accident? Correct.
I've lived in that neighborhood a block away from where this is for 22 years. But that ended 25 years ago. So I am familiar with the neighborhood, and I'm just trying to think, all right, there's an accident on Howe Avenue somewhere along the way, it's a state road. State police are not called in to investigate it and have an accident report filed. It would be the local traffic authority, correct? The local police firm.
Yes.
So if the local traffic authority wanted to weigh in on it, they could do so if they felt.
Yeah,
They're not-
absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. I get what I was trying to say is there's no automatic participation. So if we make an application to them, we don't have to copy the local traffic authority like we do with a larger project.
Okay.
But they have every right in the world to query DOT on anything.
No,
Yes.
Attorney Duncan, sorry.
Yes. Just wanted to point out, after reviewing the other exhibits. Some of them were petitions, some of them were addressing the same questions that we presented the last time. So there's no, we've answered them all. They addressed the density issue, and we believe the density is appropriate for the site and the things, and the parking is obviously in line with previously approved parking regulations that I will point out in empirical evidence have shown within the city of Shelton specifically to be appropriate. I mean, I know people often bring up what is now Marion downtown, where none of the people parked in the because they were being charged. But all the other projects, none of the other projects am I aware of that have been approved for whether it's apartments or condos have had any issues with parking being insufficient. So the parking is sufficient. As far as the site work, I think that some of that's been addressed because, in fact, in order to comply with the traffic report, the removal of the rock outcropping is going to substantially increase the line of sight, which is a benefit to the property. There were some videos and pictures from Ledgewood condominiums, and I just would point out, as been pointed out, that any site work or any blasting, if it is necessary, and as I pointed out last time, in the long run, people will realize that appropriately done blasting is a lot better than rock removal with a hammer. But anyway, certainly the proposal for the site work would involve appropriate pre-blast studies and anything of that nature, and any safety features that would be required by the town. So there was also one other issue that I think I wanted to clarify, because I think several of the neighbors pointed out that there is no sidewalk on the north side of Park Street. There is, I think we showed a photograph, but just to make sure my photograph was correct on Google Earth and GIS, I went out there and took a look after the meeting, and yes, there is a sidewalk on that side. Which sidewalk would be improved? That would be on the north side of Park, if my directions are correct. So I think we had already addressed a lot of the exhibits that came in, so there's no point in our repeating it at this point, unless the commission wished us to specifically address something that was presented by a neighbor.
I have another question for Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, on page 4 of the report, at the top is your site-generated traffic estimate table. Could you just clarify the weekday morning peak hour period and what was the afternoon peak hour period?
The morning peak hour was 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and the afternoon peak hour was 4:45 to 5:45 p.m.
So that's the industry standards and the times that you call.
Yeah, typically what we do is we count from 7 to 9, and then we take the highest hour within that 2-hour period, and we do the same from 4 to 6.
Thank you, sir.
But the way that you arrived at the 14 total vehicle trips in the morning and 14 in the afternoon, it has to do with how many are single bedrooms, how many are 2 bedrooms?
No,
What is it?
no, it could be done like that, but what we found was if it's a typical unit mix for this size building, they give us rates for this type of building. So in this case, we use what they call mid-rise rates, and those rates are based on counts of similar sized buildings, and that's statistically analyzed by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and then they provide us formulas.
Where's the mid-rise nation? Nationwide or?
They're nationwide.
So, number of units, residential buildings that we have downtown, have they ever looked at as to, okay, this is what guide may say, but this is what we have local and it's skewed? somehow, or?
No, we've actually done that, and we've done it in Shelton, as a matter of fact. We've done it for parking, we've done it for traffic. I don't have any of that information
Mhm.
handy. But the ITE rates are pretty good. They're, there are some land uses where we found over the years that they're either don't have enough data and they give us too high of number or too low, and then we'll go out and count a surrogate site. But in almost all the residential categories, the rates are pretty good.
Data is very valid. It's not as if you took a dart and threw it at a dartboard and said, well, this looks like that would work.
Right.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Move on to the public portion. So people in the audience. Or not.
Good evening. Brian Lazat, Ward 2 Alderman. I visited Park Street at the request of some of the neighbors. And it's a small street, narrow, congested, not many parking spaces available. Parking was taken up by a lot of cars in the area. So my concern is if there isn't enough parking for this building, where are the residents going to park and also their guests going to park? It's going to hinder some of the residents in the area. Also, traffic going through the streets in that area is going to be affected too. Also, in the past 2 weeks, there were 2 accidents right near where this area is being proposed. If anything, I think it should be downsized. And also, I'm also concerned because there really isn't any affordable housing. And that's another thing that really needs to be addressed. But thank you.
Patricia Cooner.
Oh, I have the presentation printed.
I'm gonna share this on the.
Yeah, so is this something that the applicant gave a copy of before the?
This is on our Google Drive. They submitted it to us yesterday. Yep.
Okay. My name is Patricia Kuna. I'm presenting on behalf of my parents, Mark and Wisława Kruszewski, 35 Park Street, adjacent to the application. So we can move to the next page. One thing that was brought up in the last meeting that we did want to respond to was the proposed density. Last time a map was given out and developments in the area were labeled on that map. What we found is we actually looked at all of those developments and you'll see the density listed. This development is 3 to 6 times more dense than any development in the area. If you were to look at the average, more densely populated developments, if you looked at this lot size, on average, there would be about 8 to 9 residential units if you were looking at the average of the actual community. We can move down, please. These are some of the developments. Physically, you can see none of them are 5 stories tall, 60 feet. None of them are as heavily dense as the current development proposed. I also wanted to include some pictures of the actual neighborhood. Most of the houses are actually just that, they're houses. And there are a few developments in the area, but most of the houses are, again, they're houses with single or 1 or 2 families in them. And I know this keeps getting brought up, but I wanted to show a picture of the street that we're talking about. This is the parking. It is very, very busy. If there is not enough parking at this development, there will not be enough parking for the current residents. Actually, some of the street is a do not park already. From about 1/4 of Park Street is do not park. There's also a fire hydrant on right on the corner. There's going to be another fire hydrant per the fire marshal. There's going to be a fire lane. All of these will impact current parking to residents, never mind the additional traffic, additional individuals that will need to park. We can move on, please. And then there's the traffic study, which was also new, and we really do appreciate it and the expertise that was given here. However, there's something that we as residents know. If you live here for a long time, you know that people don't turn onto Howe Avenue from this area. It's from Park Street, from Spring Street. Why? Because of the high traffic. And their cars are going really fast. Actually, in the traffic study, the rate of speed on Howe Avenue was never addressed, never measured. It was measured on Park Street, but it was not measured on Howe Avenue. It also mentions, 14 trips during peak hours. That doesn't seem like a lot. We're looking at, 2 hours of the day. If you look at the trips that are going to be generated overall, if you look at averages, probably around 160 trips from this a day. So coming from somebody from the neighborhood that lives here, that's going to be probably double the traffic that we're seeing now. It didn't look into the traffic going into the neighborhood, right? And the surrounding streets. It only looked at the traffic going into Howe Avenue, which again, it's just suppressed demand. No one's going to turn into a dangerous street. The crash data supports that. You'll see there are accidents at Myrtle and Park. There's accidents at Park and Howe. There's accidents at Howe and Spring. Those are just, again, really dangerous roads, really hard to turn off. Even if the outcropping is removed, it's still pretty hard to turn onto there because there's a lot of traffic and they're going really, really quick. So that was one thing. Just give me 1 second. Want to see here. And as there was mentioned, there was 2 pretty serious accidents in the last 2 weeks on this street in question. I did actually pull the raw data. It is available from the state of Connecticut, and it was difficult to analyze from the perspective of the cross streets weren't often listed. And I did do some more analysis on longitude and latitude. I got a few more accidents. I'm sure that the professionals looked at that too, but there were many accidents in the area if you look relative to the rest of Shelton. There's heat maps there. You can take a look at all of that online. We do ask as residents potentially that this study be reviewed again. There were some concerns, there were some typos in the study. I actually noticed that the data seemed to be manipulated in such a way that there was a date listed, April 31st, 2026. That's not a date on the calendar. I also noticed that the data is about 3 months behind. So the most recent accident listed was actually in February of 2026, if you were to look at the raw data.
One more minute.
Next up, this is actually what the foundations of some of the houses in the areas look like. Again, a concern of the residents. We know there's insurance, but we are very concerned about all of the old masonry structures, old foundation structures. It's actually something the engineering report has brought up, has asked about how the protections of the abutting properties, and that is not something that the applicant has answered on in the engineering report, or that we feel has been answered for us as residents. Last one, 6 grounds, 1 request, please deny the application. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. For the inlaid stairs. On the page that the pictures The parking on the street is titled neighborhood context.
Yes.
Do you remember the date, time that this was taken?
Those were actually, I took a few different dates and time. I believe I was visiting my parents, so it was Sunday, Sunday around 5 p.m. I was putting my kids to bed. So yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, was there any special activity occurring at any of the
No,
households?
no, this is typical, very typical.
So that's a city street.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes,
Open to the city.
yes, yes.
Open to the public.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, Daria?
Good evening, everybody. My name's Daria, and I currently live on 35 Park Street as well. I'm getting married, and like many young couples, we are looking for an affordable place to live, including a one-bedroom condo. I want to point out that an affordable one-bedroom unit does not automatically mean one person and one car. In my situation, I'll be moving in with my future spouse, and we both need cars to get to work. That is a very normal situation for a young couple starting out. I'm concerned that this project's parking plan does not reflect how people actually live, especially on Park Street. If there is not enough parking on site, the burden will fall on Park Street and surrounding neighborhoods. For that reason, I do not support this project as proposed, and I ask the commission to require a more realistic parking plan before and considering the approval. I also would like to address the fact that since I've lived there for now 18 years on Park Street, it is extremely cluttered. I see it every day. I leave home at 7:30. It's already cluttered. Actually, sorry, 6:30. And when I come back home, it's hard to find parking already. And it's extremely disappointing to see how today, when it was said, oh, there will be enough places for everyone to park, there'll be enough things to be put in place. We're going to put a fire lane. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. That's so unrealistic. And I wish a lot of people can come just see Park Street and see Howe Avenue. With the car accidents, same thing. I know I have witnessed many car accidents. I've been in 2 on Park Street. So going into from Howe Avenue into Park Street, one being sideswiped and the other being literally hit from the back. So it is a very dangerous road. It's actually very, very dangerous if we add more living situations that are this big. In addition, we have children on our street. And with events, for instance, like the 4th of July fireworks, or if there's Shelton Day or anything like that, our street does get very crowded. And we allow people to park on our street. Obviously, it's open to the public, but we have seen people driving by and not caring that there's children playing on the street. And so that's something to please consider. Thank you.
Sebastian?
Good evening. My name is Sebastian, and I also live at 35 Park Street. And I would like to say that I do not support this project as proposed, as I believe it is too large for the site, creates serious parking and traffic concerns, and does not fit the surrounding neighborhood. I ask the commission to deny this application or require major changes before any approval. Thank you.
Allison Bizzle?
Hi, my name is Allison Beal. I live at 12 Crescent Street. I'm going to read a letter from my next door neighbor. She could not be here tonight. And then I would like to make my own comments. From Rebecca Berry, who lives at 8 Crescent Street. During the last meeting, I asked you to delay your judgment until the traffic study on the project application 2614 was done. In my naivety, I thought the traffic study would accurately depict the location of this project. Unfortunately, it's clear to me from reading the report that the conclusion was written before any findings were made, because it was solicited by investors who will benefit financially from this project. The report begins by describing Route 110 as a minor arterial that runs east-west along the northern portion of the site and connects Route 8 to the west and becomes River Road to the east. That description is false. There should be no question in anyone's mind that Route 110 is a state highway that is heavily trafficked. In fact, it is a main travel route for more than 7,000 employees traveling to and from Sikorsky aircraft at all times of the day and night. In the vicinity of this project, there exists one dimly lit crosswalk and a speed monitor. From my lifelong experience living in this area, few people travel at or below 25 miles per hour anywhere on Route 110. I use the same website referred to in the traffic study to search Route 110 in Shelton, Connecticut Crash Data Repository, a Yukon project that gathers information from state and local police, reports that from 1/1/23 to 5/31/26, Route 110 in Shelton had a total of 436 crashes, with 849 vehicles and 1,049 people involved. Those numbers reflect accidents where there was property damage, physical injury, and fatalities. Traffic study opines that the 36-unit building will have little to no impact on traffic, speed, congestion, and accidents in this area. If a single one of your members believe that, please consider this building in your neighborhoods. Reality is no one can predict if, when, and where major motor vehicle accidents will occur with complete accuracy because they can happen anywhere and anytime. The idea that Route 10 is a safe place to add a large residential building with no other safety precautions is preposterous. With all the neighbors speaking out about this project, remember it will be us who will be there if and when a catastrophe was to happen in our neighborhood. In closing, I would like to know what the plan is for our town. If this is the Planning and Zoning Commission, what is the vision for this town? There are apartment buildings springing up all over town. This location does not make sense as there are mostly older single-family homes in this area. The residents of this area are against this development and would urge you to vote against the proposal. I have copies of that if anybody wants it, and Rebecca's report. From my notes, my biggest concern here is that this is setting a precedence for the neighborhood. So thank you for letting me speak today. I want to address the precedence this approval will set. The property across the street is a 10-unit apartment building on 0.93 acres. The property next door is 10 condos and 5 units. All other properties in the neighborhood are single and multifamily houses, many like this one, built around the turn of the century. There is no precedence for a building of this size in this neighborhood. Changing the zoning for this property opens up the probability that the neighborhood will be free game to all developers, and we will lose the historic nature of the entire neighborhood permanently. Every home that goes on the market will be another fight for the neighborhood. We lose the opportunity to preserve the history of our community if we continue to dismantle neighborhoods like ours. The building is beautiful, honestly, but this is the wrong place for a building of that size. And I wanted to address that the sight line would still be restricted by the new building, which is even bigger than the outcrop as far as the traffic is concerned. Thank you.
Ricky. William? Bob Halen? Ivan?
Yep, sorry. It's an Irish spelling. They get it wrong all the time. Hi, Bob Highland. I live on 33 Crescent Street, so right around the corner from this place. And lawyers and their mathematics, as was said, put all that aside, protests and opposition do matter. What you're hearing here are the consolidated voices of the people who live here, who have seen pictures of this and go, oh my God. And it's hard to have any other reaction than that, to just go, how would that, so specific things. The traffic studies LOS measures seem to have taken into account, seem to only have taken into account on-site parking vehicles for on-site parking for only 57 vehicles. That's all that was taken into account. By the state of Connecticut, the average for a residence is 2.3 cars per household, 2.3. So that's much higher. Now, last time I think it was pointed out that we can't take into account more than one, I think it was, per unit. That's after July 1st. It's not July 1st. So it can and actually must be taken into account now. Couple of things here. So this is a planned development district. One of my major questions is if this is a planned development and it's planned to be developed in this way, where is that plan? I mean, you are the planning and zoning committee, so you would have these plans. If you don't have them, then I would say that, there is no such thing here. Looking up planned development districts, and this is in your in the regulation section 34, the purpose is to permit tracts of land to be developed, redeveloped, and improved as harmonious design unit of stable character consistent with the character of the town and the long-range improvement of the neighborhood. To accomplish an appropriate transition between dissimilar zones when such tracts are of sufficient size to accommodate such design units. This is not a tract of land. This is not even an acre. There is no tract of land here. When they talk about if there is a long-range plan for improvement to accomplish an appropriate transition between dissimilar zones, that also does not apply here. If we look at the zoning map, which I have on my thing here, and you guys probably have it as well, everything around this is all the same zone. So this is all residential. So there's no dissimilar zones here. You would have in the middle of a zone, you would have this thing be carved out. So there is no, you're not meeting the requirements, and what it says are the purposes behind this. And finally, it's only when such tracts are of sufficient size to accommodate such design units, which this clearly does not. I mean, the tract for which the application is made must contain an area of not less than 60,000 square feet. There are some things that happen there, and I look at it and go, this is not 60,000 square feet, no matter what you do. So I don't even know why we're here in some points. Other comments that I know people have already mentioned that we're looking for, we're trying to say what the impact on the neighborhood would be in terms of parking and such. And I did not see that there was a parking study or something else that would help indicate what that would be. So I would expect to see that. There's also, if there is, and I apologize, I probably had to find this. If they do not have sufficient parking, there's supposed to be a document that is filed, probably in my comments that I sent online. And if I do find that, I will make sure that it's known or make sure that it's noted. But that it's a parking needs assessment. I did not see that listed in the documentation that they provided. So, last comment. Talked about the line of sight and such. It'd be very interesting if there was an actual line of sight study done to find out what the elevations of the land is. If you're talking about coming around those curves right there at the speed that cars actually go there, and there was no study that showed what those speeds were. You come around those curves, if there's a 5-story building, okay, even if there's a little bit of space on the side, okay, there's still going to be cars. If you look, there'll be parking all the way out to the edge. you will not gain line of sight there. They also mentioned last time that there will be trees. If the trees are not maintained, which they said that they would maintain, how do we know that they'll be maintained and pushed back and? This is clearly not going to improve the line of sight. I mean, you can put it there on paper to make it sound good, but it ain't right. That's it.
Walter?
Good evening. I'm Walter Curting, 21 Spring Street. So I had a couple comments on the traffic study. The study is commissioned by the applicant. It cannot be considered fully independent. The points provided are supporting an expected conclusion. A number of concerns about the traffic study were addressed. They were already submitted and talked about tonight, but I had a few additional points. For a housing complex that could house about 50 people and 57 vehicles, claims there will be 14 vehicles during the morning and afternoon peak hours to or from the building. This figure is flawed. Table 2 estimates reference on the report Trip Generation Study. That's the company that the study on multifamily housing, mid-rise, and calls out 14 vehicle trips. The Trip Generation Study factors in all multifamily mid-rise housing, which includes larger cities and other populous urban areas near mass transit. I haven't seen a subway station or train station at the end of park, so the data is skewed and therefore completely unrealistic. The study does not identify the percentage of vehicles exceeding 25 miles per hour speed limit on Howe Avenue. Conveniently, only Park Street was included. In a general observance of 200 vehicles going northbound on Route 110 at a random time, using the speed indicator that's mounted about 300 feet away from 126 Howe Avenue, 86.5% of the vehicles exceeded 30 miles per hour, and about half of those 35 miles per hour. A comprehensive, unbiased study is needed. The report mentions posted speed signs on Park Avenue. There are none between Howe Avenue and Hillside, the area which is the focus of the study. The study states there are sidewalks on the west side of Park Street. It implies that the sidewalks are on the west side of Park Street, the entire length of Park Street. The sidewalk is only on Park Street adjacent to the property in question. Given the distance from the road, these were likely added by the doctor who worked out of this property for the ease of access for his patients. There are no other sidewalks on Park Street past this property. The study recommends adding curve side warnings on Howe Avenue. There's already one curve warning going northbound on Route 110, Howe Avenue. Nevertheless, it would be fair to assume that most current daily traffic is by local drivers who regularly travel this route. Adding a sign warning of a curve will have minimal effect on the speed of drivers. They already know there's a curve there. Street parking was not addressed in the study. Currently, there are already a need for residents to park in the street, as you've heard. This is an older neighborhood with many houses built before garages were standard, turn of the century. Half of the houses on Park do not have garages, and only one house has a two-car garage. Additional street parking caused by residents and guests on the proposed building will put an additional burden on the already limited parking. These points, as well as those already submitted, question the veracity of the traffic study. So another point on the city engineer, in his letter from April 28, 2026, the city engineer had a number of concerns and questioned the suitability of a project of this magnitude on this site. This contributed to his not endorsing the project. A number of the specific issues were addressed by the project manager to the planning and zoning department. However, we do not see if the city engineer accepted these revisions. At this point, we assume that the city engineer still does not endorse this project due to the unsuitability of the project magnitude on such a small site. The PDD was also mentioned in previous meeting and today as well. It just has to be stressed that this project and request to change the zoning from a current and correct R4 to BDD does not in any way hold to the spirit and purpose of a PDD zoning. That purpose is to protect and improve the neighborhood. This does neither. Thank you.
Anyone else in the auditorium would like to speak? Laura?
In Iannone, 10 Park Street. I would like to say that when there were rumblings of something happening at 126 Howe Ave, I was initially optimistic and excited for an enhanced part of our neighborhood. However, I am here to formally oppose this. At 126 Howe Ave, I can see diagonally across. The road in question currently experiences fast-moving and often heavy traffic. Despite being a residential area, it is routinely treated as a throughway with vehicles exceeding safe speeds. This creates an environment that is already hazardous for residents, pedestrians, and anyone entering or exiting driveways and side streets. I can speak to this danger firsthand. Recently, on May 30th, a vehicle lost control on this very road, coming up towards Howe Ave by 126. It crashed through the yard of 11 Park Street, breaking a fence, driving through the yard, going straight down my driveway, crashing through a fence, and landing on our patio. This destroyed our fence, our patio, and the toys that our 4-year-olds play with. This is not a minor incident. It underscores how real and immediate the safety risks are. Fortunately, no one was injured. But the outcome could have easily been much worse, considering the vehicle landed where my children and animals are commonly every day. There are also many neighbors that walk on, I'm on Lower Park, so I'm across the street, so there are sidewalks on my end of Park Street that go all the way down, and the neighborhood does use those quite a bit to walk dogs and just go on walks. Well, the accident destroyed our backyard and fence, things that can be repaired. This could happen to other families. This could happen to other people in the neighborhood. This could even happen to the people who would be proposed to move in to 126 Howe Ave. I would like to note also that the owner of 11 Park Street has shared and encouraged me to share that this is not the first time his fence has been destroyed in this area. He is directly across from 126 Howe Ave. Unfortunately, tonight he was not able to be here because he had prior work engagements. Additionally, within the same week, there was another accident. That happened on June 3rd, outside of 112 Howe Ave. Neither of these accidents are part of the traffic report because they happened after April 31st. Again, luckily no one was hurt. However, there was a pole that was affected and there was a great deal of work that had to be done by crews to repair it. They worked throughout the night. These are warning signs for the traffic problems in this area. Adding a large complex of this size will significantly increase the ability for these things to happen. More cars entering and exiting, combined with existing speeding issues, will only exacerbate the unsafe situation. Before any development of this scale is considered, there should be a thorough and more transparent traffic impact study, along with a clearly defined plan to mitigate speeding, improve safety, and take measures to support our town. At present, those safeguards do not appear to be sufficient. While this is not the property developer's fault, there should be consideration before we continue to add to this problem. Our community safety must come first. Based on current conditions and my direct experience, I strongly urge the commission to deny this proposal until there are more sufficient standards taken. I would also like to comment that there are a lot of neighbors here today. I don't get to often see all of them, but everyone in this area works really hard to work together, to be respectful, to be polite, to try and have space for everyone to be living and acting appropriately. We would love to welcome new neighbors. We just think this is a really large facility that hasn't been thought out enough. I also feel like there's going to be a strain on our police department. There's going to be a lot of cars that are going to park in incorrect spots. There's going to be a fire lane. I'm on a part of park that has no parking on one side. People park there already, and it's up to the residents to call and report that we already have a police department that has a lot of more important things to deal with than parking disputes. And I may have missed this, but I am curious if there has been a light pollution study done. And if there hasn't, I would encourage that to be done. Because if we're going to have a 5-story building in the neighborhood, there are a lot of buildings that are lower that would have an impact to their families and their animals. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So I'm Catherine Slowanik. I live at Ledgewood Condos. I'm actually 3 units in, and I'm actually here with my neighbors. I had emailed a few photos of Ledgewood and the development. I don't know if it was received in time, but I kind of just want to start off with like a story. So 2 years ago, Labor Day weekend, I had come back from a trip, went to go start my car, couldn't start my car. So I was on the phone with AAA outside. As I was on the phone with them, I witnessed a tractor trailer coming down towards Route 8 that had flipped. When the tractor trailer had flipped, it had taken out the telephone pole. We had lost all power, everything. So this is a road that's 25 miles an hour. It's not 25 miles an hour. I bought this place in 2018. This is my first home. I live with my dog. I would not recommend walking at night to let the dog out at all. There's a lot of accidents in this area, especially in front of Ledgewood Condos. The transformer, that telephone pole gets replaced every single summer. I have actually contacted Shelton Police multiple times. I have an email chain. I'm pretty sure they're sick of hearing from me. I send pictures, everything, every single time there's an accident. They can't do much because it is a state road. So I had proposed that they had put in the speed radar, which they did. They did put in a sign that says there is a turn ahead, which has helped. There was some brush that they cut down and so what. So I had reached out to Mr. Perillo for the state because my neighbors and I had discussed that a rumble strip would be a great idea in front of the unit. Unfortunately, that is like pulling teeth trying to contact anyone from the state. So this is something that we've actually been dealing with at Ledgewood Condos for a very long time. And the city of Shelton did say that they would pay for it, but there is nobody that is pursuing it. So this is something that I have been in contact with them, and unfortunately, nothing has been done. So myself and my neighbors are constantly running out. We are the first people to get out there when there's a crash. They hit the stone walls. The road itself needs to be reevaluated. I understand the traffic study and everything, but we are right in the direct of everything. So I'm hoping one day something is done. I've proposed that there's a light put in by Lafayette School to slow the traffic down because there's just too much going on coming down that road. And me and my friends sometimes sit outside and we say that we are the HOAB watchers. Spend 10 minutes, watch the traffic. At night, it is a racetrack. It's just something that needs to be addressed, I think, in Shelton as all. The more developments, the more everything goes on. But going back with the blasting and stuff, so my neighbors, they're sitting over there. They're right there. They're adjacent to the proposed building. That ledge wall is already collapsing. So there's going to be definitely damage on our end, either way, whatever happens. So our backyard had been blasted. That is how our building got built. We had a retaining, our curtain drain replaced during COVID. I can't exactly remember, because there is water that is flowing from up top. So where Ledgewood Condos is, up top is Coram Ave. I had reached out to, I believe, the civil engineer to come and look. I don't know what has happened in the past few years, but there's more water that constantly comes down. In the winter, it is glaciers. It is awful. It is up to our decks and everything. With the proposed blasting, I'm sure there's going to be more water. There's going to be more damage. This is our homes. These are, you know, our foundations and stuff. There's a lot more that I think that needs to be looked into, just especially what is on the other side of Coram and all of that. But yeah, I would like to have you guys just like consider somehow getting just the traffic addressed as well with all of that. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Beat you to it. Hi, I'm Chrissy Dominguez. I'm on 18 Spring Street. I spoke last time for a while. I apologize. I will be short today. As a homeowner, a mother, an educator, and someone deeply invested in this community, I support growth when it strengthens the lives of the people who already live here. This proposal does not do that. The residents of this neighborhood have repeatedly expressed and shown up to express that this development is not appropriate for this location. Somebody said that the drawings look beautiful. They do. I've seen an example of this down by Riverdale Diner. There's a 5-story beautiful condo. It looks very similar to this. It's just out of place here. Good planning is not about building the maximum number of units possible. It is about protecting and improving the communities that already exist. Development should serve a community, not happen to a community. So I strongly urge the commission to please stand with its residents and reject this proposal as it stands. Maybe there's a way to compromise. Maybe there's a way to not make it a 5-story building. A 5-story building in its place is not going to decrease sightlines. It's going to maintain them or make them worse. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, hello, how are you guys? My name is Sandra. I currently live on 37 Park Street. Sandra McCarthy. And I am here to also not be opposed of this project. I live directly next door to the proposed project, approximately 50 feet from the area where the evacuation and blasting may occur. And you know, I have asthma and, you know, lots of our neighbors are also concerned about the health impact that this project could have on all of us. Blasting rock, removing the rock, the dust, the diesel equipment, the construction, debridements are not the minor inconvenience for the people with all respiratory conditions, children in our neighborhood that can create real health risk. And as a healthcare provider, this is a very big concern for me. I have not heard a clear plan for how residents with asthma or other health conditions or children will be protected during the construction, and telling people that there will be monitored or standard procedures is just not enough when it's just so close in such a populated area. For that reason, I do not support this project as proposed. Before any approval is considered, there needs to be a specific health and safety plan for nearby residents, especially those with respiratory issues, health issues, and with all these children in our neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
No.
Attorney Thomas.
Um, I've been in this position, obviously, a lot, having to represent him. I do not in any way diminish the concerns expressed by the neighborhood. I'm guided by the law and the presentation. I want to first address the issue of the traffic and report, and in some way, I don't want to say defend Dave Sullivan, but first of all, the courts have spoken on land use with respect to traffic engineers. In the case of American Neurological Enterprises, which is an appellate court case, the ruling in that case, which had a large neighborhood opposition and commissioner opposition, was not a zone change. It was a special exception. But the holding in that was that lay commissioner testimony or neighbor concerns cannot rebut a licensed traffic engineer's findings. I know you can pick them apart, you can antidotally do so. But two things were mentioned that actually come together. The name of Senator Jason Perillo was mentioned, and the claim was made that we should have an independent traffic report. I stand here and say to you that the SLR report is an independent traffic report, regardless who pays for it. And of course, if you had an independent report, peer review done, the applicant would be paying for it anyway. So many years ago, for those of you that remember the cluster subdivision that I think is known as Cranberry off of Armstrong Road, it's a very controversial subdivision. I was not involved. I'm stating this. I was not the attorney. I was, as usual, at one of the P&Z meetings. And everybody, there was a lot of issues raised about traffic on Armstrong Road, and this was going to be terrible. And there was a traffic report done. It may have been Barkin and Mess, which is the company that Dave worked for and eventually was purchased or merged with other companies that became SLR. This commission, on which was Jason Perillo, chose to do an independent traffic report. And they chose Fuss and O'Neill. A couple of months later, the commission voted to deny the application. It eventually went to court and got resolved. But I was sitting there when Jason Perillo stood up at the meeting, which I believe was a public hearing in this room, and said that he wanted to address the neighbors and tell them that they received the Fuss and O'Neill traffic report and it was more favorable to the developer than the developer's own traffic report. And you can go around and find out that that is normally the case because individuals like Dave Sullivan, who is well-respected, SLR, others like Kermit Hua and others that do traffic reports for an applicant, they intentionally do it in the most conservative way possible so as to present the most realistic picture to the commission. I don't think in any way, shape, or form such an independent study is needed. These studies are based on, as Dave said, empirical evidence that is addressed nationwide, regionally, and everything, and analyzed. And I'm sure now probably digested through AI at this point. Just a couple of points. The building, the recommendations by Dave Sullivan is to avoid and reduce all the plantings to maintain the sightline and also to address the issues. So the sightline improvement clearly and unequivocally will be the result of this and will improve the safety. I can have Dave come up and address some things. But one of the interesting things is, and I think obviously listening to the neighborhood, they have an existing problem. There's not necessarily the development on this property is going to exacerbate it. This property is going to increase the sight line, everything, but they have an existing problem that would appear to continue if you had a single-family home, a tent, or a condo building on the property. And it does need to be addressed, and as Dave pointed out, there are things that can be done to address it. One of the interesting things, when one of the speakers talked about rumble strips, I said, "Oh, well, why didn't the state or somebody put rumble strips?" And apparently, in a residential area with condos and the apartments, they don't put rumble strips in those areas as much, because apparently there were complaints when they did it, because in the middle of the night, on a night like last night, when you can sleep with the windows open, if you were near the road with the rumble strips, every time the car went over the rumble strips, it would irritate the people with the noise. So I think that may be the same case here. Parking, the parking ratio is 1.58. There is no parking ratio, no state of Connecticut 2.3 cars. The only thing I can imagine, they're looking at something relating to 2.3 cars would be 4-bedroom colonials or 3-bedroom colonials. We're not trying the 1-to-1. These are, as explained, these are condominiums. These are not for rent. These are for sale. And 1.5A with a breakdown of more 1-bedrooms than 2-bedrooms. I think it's 21 bedrooms and 16 2-bedrooms. Given the 1.5A and given the fact that statistically it has been shown that the 1-bedrooms, the one per unit, is more than sufficient. And the fact that you have that, we believe we have sufficient off-site parking. And I think there have been other parking studies that have shown that with this breakdown. The interesting thing is parking is a marketing thing. People are not going to buy these condos with the assumption they can park in the street. They're not going to buy these condos if they have to park in the street. And that is pretty much a clear marketing thing. So if somebody comes there and they're going to be there and going to go into a 2-bedroom condo and have themselves and, let's say, a teenage kid, they're not going to go here, because they're not going to, if they have 2 or 3 cars, they're not going to go, because they're not going to be provided with anything sufficient for their parking. So parking is a marketing thing. The other phenomenon, and I'm not sure if it would have an impact here as it does just a mile or so down the road in downtown, is that the phenomenon that has occurred, that especially many younger people and many apartment buildings are seeing anywhere from 5% to as high as 10% of some of their residents, and these also apply to some condo projects, that do not have cars, especially single younger people have chosen to operate in a fashion without cars. And that, how does it operate? Well, studies have shown what they do is they Uber a lot more than people do. And what they do is they rent cars when they go away, and that saves them the money. Now, that's not going to be as big of an impact on potentially in a condo project, but the bottom line is 1.58. You have other buildings, apartment buildings and condos that have such rates, and there's been no issue with any parking with it. There's been mention made of a fire lane, and it sounds like they're talking about a fire lane on Park. And I've been, the property owner, developers there, the engineers there, no one understands what they're talking about. There's no fire lane on Park. There is obviously a fire lane within the confines of the project. There are fire lanes, so I'm not sure that there is anything. I just don't really understand what the conversation is about the fire lanes. I think I've addressed all the issues. I don't know whether, if you have any questions based on the comments and the traffic comments to Dave Sullivan, he's here to answer them. And we also have Manny Silva, the engineer, to answer any other questions. If
there are any comments. Hold on.
April 31st.
You know what? It's an interesting number. And I was so busy in April, I thought would have been much more helpful if I had 31 days. Because if I had 31 days in April, that would have meant an extra day in LA with my granddaughter. Because I was there, huh? No. It would have been, I could have taken another trip on a Waymo, which I did out in LA. But yes, it's amazing what happens when you hit the wrong button on the keyboard. I don't know if Dave wants to respond any further, but April 31st, yes, it's a mistake on the keyboard.
So we're reviewing the file. The city engineer did not provide feedback to the updated site plan. I believe this commission needs that feedback from the city engineer. Request a motion for continuance for the sole purpose of receiving feedback for city engineer. They receive that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Attorney Thomas requesting the applicant for continuance to the next meeting.
I will give you an extension letter for the time period to complete the public hearing.
Next, we're going to go moving to old business. Application 2609. Power Building and Renovation LLC at 276 Leavenworth Road, assessors map 151, lot 1 for a zone map change from R18 to R1. The area of the proposed zone change is plus or minus 3.3 acres. Review, discuss, and possible action. Done here, folks. So accept the motion to deny application 2609. All in favor, say aye.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Why are we not discussing this first? Why are we moving it right into a motion to deny of all things? When we haven't gotten a consensus from the commission as to how it feels about this. I think that's poor protocol. And that's something that I think we would get criticized for in a court of law. Because anybody could, the applicant could challenge us. And what kind of discussion did you have? How did you arrive automatically?
Commissioner Harder, I asked for review, discussion, possible action, and no one said anything.
I don't think we were given the opportunity to do that.
Okay, I'll ask it again. Review, discussion, possible action.
So I would like to get other commissioners' opinion on this. This is a
No
zone.
one has anything to say. If you have something to say, you can say it. If not, we're gonna move forward with the vote.
I will. In the past, when we have had a zone change, we have had a constructive kind of discussion as to what implications we have had on that. The public weighed in on this back on April 8th. And there were 12 people. I went back and looked at my notes and at the video. There were 12 people that spoke up about it. There was a vast concern for the farmland to be maintained, but a zone change would help in that matter. The current property owner would purchase that property, from my understanding, so that he could build 3 homes for his family somewhere on the property. And yeah, I did not like the idea that, goodness, if he came in with a strict application for 3 homes and we denied it, yeah, he could take the route of an 830G. And what would that benefit? Nobody. So we're told in public hearing that there is an understanding between the applicant and an abutting person, that's a property owner, that he would, if there is a zone change, there's some kind of agreement that he would sell the property. There would be some kind of conveyance part of the property so that the current property owner would have access to the rear of the property and the adjacent abutting property owner would have access to the front. And there would be no change in appearance from Leavenworth Road and that property would be maintained as is. So to me, we've always been cautioned as to try and do something where it's a win-win situation and not where somebody's gonna walk away totally defeated in their purpose of what they wanna do. So to deny a zone change without some kind of opinion from the rest of the commission as to what implication this has, I think is just not good look for our commission. And if you're hesitant in expressing your view on this particular topic, I think you gotta reconsider, frankly, as much as I love you all and have been on this commission since 2005, I think you gotta really consider what your purpose is on being this commission. It is tough for me to sit here right now and talk about this, just as it's been for the last 20-something years, when we have had very contentious and onerous kinds of applications. I don't see this as one of them at all. So that's my stance on it. Thank you.
There's a motion on the table. All in favor?
We'll make
Can I
a
ask a
motion.
question? Ask a question. I have a process question. And if this isn't the right question, someone stop me. But if we have on our agenda an 824 for the purchase of this property, why is the applicant?
Commissioner McGee, that topic is not in front of us at this time. This topic is being handled first.
But why are we voting to deny? Why wouldn't the applicant withdraw this request? That makes no sense to me. Someone asked that.
Commissioner McGee, this is the topic that is in front of us at this time.
It seems backwards.
Decision was behind closed doors.
Sir, anything else, you're gonna leave.
You should leave.
Get out. Get out. Get out.
I didn't say that last thing. You asked me to stop. I stopped. I didn't say anything. Check your camera.
Okay.
This is the topic we're addressing first. Can't speak to it. They have to be taken in order.
Well, on 2609, what I heard from the public was that they really wanted to keep this if possible, to the best case, open space. Sometimes that's been tough for us to do as we take up applications because depending on how things are zoned, someone might have a right to build, as is. But that they really did not want to see any dense housing there. And some people wanted no development there. Others were satisfied with the 3 homes and leaving the back piece along the farmland. And, there was a feeling that I heard from members of the public that they wanted to keep it in the kind of rural character that exists, particularly up in that area, and to protect the farmland. There is other open space in the area.
And I just want to add, for clarity's sake, I agree with everything that was just said.
The applicant is still interested in this and has obviously not withdrew. Has the applicant made any moves to withdraw this application?
Not that it's been presented.
Not that it's been presented. Alexander, is that?
That's correct.
So, anything else? Any other discussion? Okay. Did a motion Aye. All in favor?
Can you just repeat the motion? I do recall that it did happen fairly abruptly. Who made the motion and who made the second?
Commissioner Cristiano made the motion. There was no second.
I think it was as people were leaving the auditorium, so it was just a loud moment.
I made a motion to deny. All in favor?
Can I have a roll call vote, please, Mr. Chairman?
Castro, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cristiano,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Harcher,
Nay for denial.
Commissioner Ticky,
Nay for denial.
Commissioner Apple,
Aye.
Commissioner McGee.
I'm gonna abstain.
On what basis? You have to have a-
Motion passes 3-2-1.
No, you need 4.
No. No recommendation.
We need four for a vote.
You need 4 affirmative.
For change.
Okay.
Motion fails to pass. Is that the right thing, Nicholas?
Okay. There's
Yeah, three.
3 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention.
We don't need 4 affirmative.
For the change, the denial. The denial. The motion passes, the denial passes.
Denial passes 3-2-1.
It's not for. Good news.
So the only full business, correct?
Yes.
So next is other business. Item A, to request bond release at 265 Bridgeport Avenue. This is a gas station at Bridgeport Avenue abutting the area known as the Moss property. Within the file, a letter requesting the release of the bond and a positive referral from the zoning enforcement officer. Does any commissioner have any questions on the bond release?
Is all the work done?
Yes, so this property abuts the Constitution Boulevard extension. They actually completed their landscaping 2 times. And they had to redo it because of the construction activity. We spoke with Public Works Director and he is in support of the release of the bond. So is the engineer.
Yeah.
Move to release the bond.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Next is item B is to request for a bond release at Meadow Ridge Estates, Nico's Way. Property was for a subdivision located across from the police station. Within the file is a letter requesting the release of the bond and a positive referral from the zoning enforcement officer. Any commissioner have any questions on the bond release? No? Take a motion to approve the bond release for Meadow Ridge Estates, Nichols Way.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 6-0. Next is item C is a 824 referral for the purchase of property at 276 Leavenworth Road. At this time, we will recognize Kelly Zano on behalf of the mayor's office to provide details of the deal.
I'm requesting a 24 referral for a favorable report allowing and authorizing the mayor to acquire the property at 276 Leavenworth Road. In the 824 referral paperwork, you'll see that it is the property outlined in red. By reference, it is property familiarly known as the Guy Beardsley Homestead, located contiguously to the Beardsley site of Lawn Orchard and across from Shelton Land Conservation Property, as well as City of Shelton Open Space. I believe a favorable referral would be consistent with the City of Shelton Plan of Conservation and Development by expanding the city's already existing open space.
So this will be added to the open space?
Yes, it would.
Is there a period of time or perpetuity or?
At this point, Right, it would go to the Board of Aldermen, but for that.
That's right, but the
no, of
intention
course.
is-
So, and the mayor's represented that the intent would be to maintain it the way it is, the beautiful nature of it, that it, provides a lot for the community. It has been in that capacity for many, many years. And that's what the city's continue to present to community garden, agricultural, educational, historical purposes for the city. And just to go back, if you are all aware, if you are, that we were in negotiations with the Beardsley Estate back to October 15th was the first of 2024 was the first time that they approached the city and asked if we were interested in purchasing it. And we were in negotiations with them and had maintained an open communication throughout until we were informed that they had gone under contract with the Rhonda.
Mrs. Zano, I understand your comments about what the city has planned for it in the future. Normally when the city gets open space, correct me if I'm wrong, it's normally an open field and it's left to exist as it is. Sometimes, depending on where it is, the city, it's used for some farming. It's used, somebody gets a lease. In the case of a lot of the A24 referrals for Constitution Boulevard, we knew exactly what the A24s were requested for because it had to do with the extension of Constitution Boulevard. But my concern is, is the city in a position to maintain the structures that are on there? We have a very old historic home. There are other structures on the property, sheds and maybe a small barn or something. And I would be very concerned that the city would be in a position to maintain those as needed, especially the historic home. You had quickly mentioned something about a farmer's market. That farmer's market going to be in competition with the one that's downtown already? Have the people who participate in the farmer's market downtown, are they aware that that's potential? So would they be able to, would that sort of pull away from vendors downtown because they would rather be up in on that piece of property? So I don't think it's such a cut and dry thing as what we've had before us, because before we've had specific reasons. We need the property for the Constitution Boulevard, or this is something that's abutting a new subdivision and it's going to remain be used as a buffer. But this one, I just don't know. I don't feel comfortable in that the city is in a position with everything else that it has to maintain in town. Is it in a position to maintain this particular property? Or if they do plan to lease it, I think that's not something that should come out beforehand to for me to personally to be a little bit more comfortable about this is what the city's thinking about. Okay, so.
Mrs. Arnold, let me ask you a question.
Yes, please.
Before you answer this long question. Our last A24 referral was a piece of property on Long Hill Avenue with a home and a barn.
Correct.
Is the city maintaining that property?
I'm not certain of the city's intentions at this time. It may be that is the case, what they will do, but I can certainly address Commissioner Harder's questions, merited questions. Thank you. So I'd like to refer you to your plan of conservation development, which I believe you were on the commission, were involved at that time. And so part of this, and one of the main tenets of it, is preserving the Shelton's agricultural heritage. You brought up several different things. I have never heard that this would become another farmer's market, would compete with the farmer's market downtown. Community gardens. Let me refer you to the community gardens up on Long Hill Avenue. That was open space that was purchased or that is acquired by the city. And there are community gardens that are up there that many people take advantage of. There are, and I know you're familiar with this property, as am I. I've walked it many times. And there are beautiful lavender fields. And there is an organic bakery there. And there's a historic home. I'm not speaking on behalf of the city because it has not been discussed as to whether or not we would maintain that. But I would have to surely say that the city does have the wherewithal to maintain a home like that, as we have staff who does that. Your questions are well received. And I think that I've addressed most of them in that open space does take on various forms. And that it would not be used for not open space, meaning it would be more passive, it'd be recreational, it'd be educational. And again, these are all within your plan of conservation and development as was prepared in 2006 and then updated in 2017 to continue with the same purpose for Shelton to preserve its agricultural.
Right, in the past, we've sort of fast-tracked A24s. It's been, okay, I'm requesting A24 has questions, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. This is a piece of property that a lot of area residents came out to discuss. The auditorium is full. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, we are all going to be able to live with any decision that we may make. The A24 procedure, as far as I know, and council can correct me if I'm wrong, but if there is an unfavorable referral by the commission to the Board of Aldermen, the Board of Aldermen can override it for affirmative votes.
Correct.
So, and I think there had been one or two, and I did track it after that as to what they decided. So recall.
I think you gotta remember too, what we heard from the public when they came here was, first, they didn't want development. They didn't want the farmland taken away. If they had to have something happen, they were in favor of the proposal that was before us at the time. But the first thing that I heard very clearly was they didn't want the farmland taken and they didn't want development. Okay? The potential of a favorable P24 referral to the city potentially stops both. And it gives the community, which is what we're here to consider, what they're looking for, not a particular person.
Yeah, it's gotta be what we're looking for.
They understand.
Yeah.
And that accomplishes that, in my opinion. So,
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So comment on a question. I totally support keeping this property as open space. My question is, and Kelly, I don't know if you know the answer to this yet, but do you know, does the city have any intention or has there been any thought put into once acquiring this property, possibly deed restricting this property so that no building would take place on it in the future?
As long as the city maintained the property and owned the property, I don't believe that that would be the case, as it would be designated open space. But I don't think that a restriction on the deed would be inconsistent with what the city is looking to do here. So thank you for that comment, and it could be taken under advisement.
I would prefer the city look into that if we're purchasing this property. Thank you.
Is that the same as a covenant? No,
it's a restriction.
Okay.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay, hearing none. I'll make a motion to report a favorable referral on the E24 for the purchase of the property at 276 Leavenworth Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor to reporting favorable on the E24 referral, say aye.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Opposed?
Opposed? With the fact that do think we need a roll call on this. So you know what the calendar.
Commissioner McGee, I didn't hear what you said.
I was an aye.
Okay, passes 5-1. Okay,
For the members of the public that are just interested in the process, and now to the Board of Aldermen, so if they wanted to further advocate, they would go to the Board of Aldermen.
Right, that's the next step. The Board of Aldermen decide. It's gonna be purchased or not purchased.
So just for clarification, if I, would you note for a moment, Commission, is that, the commission's purpose in an 824 referral is to give the opportunity to voice your opinion as to whether the proposal is in line with the plan conservation development, that it is in line with what the city's intentions are and ideas are and how they'd like to maintain it. It doesn't either, that it doesn't block something that you'd like to see happen, or, you know, create something that's not consistent. So that is, you're correct, Commissioner Takeo. We'll go to the Board of Aldermen for further review and approval and purchase. Thank you.
Next is new business on the agenda. Application 2616 Antonio Ferrato Restaurant at 376 River Road, Assessors Map 80, Lot 162, for a 20 by 40 addition to be used for a private events and additional restaurant space. Review, discuss, and possible action. Ms. Castro, would you please read aloud the exhibits of the application that have been submitted for the record, received no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening's meeting that would need to be acknowledged?
The application was received in our office on May 19, 2026. Exhibit 1 is a statement of uses and standards. Exhibit 2 is the variance approval. Exhibit 3 is a site plan dated February 10, 2026. Exhibit 4 is the fire marshal comments. Exhibit 5 is an email from staff, myself, to the applicant requesting information. Exhibit 6 is a letter from the city engineer.
Thank you. Will the applicant please identify yourself for the record and proceed with your presentation?
Good evening. Antonio Giacola. So I guess, can you hear? So I have we have put together this application for a 20 by 40 addition to the existing building in 376 River Road, known as Retrovo Restaurant. I purchased that building like a year and a half ago, and since we have noticed that there is a demand for private parties and events of that nature. So we figure out actually I think we came a month and a half ago for a variance for the building, and now we presented these plans that you guys have in front. Pretty simple, 20 by 40, pretty much, more or less.
Anything else, sir?
I mean,
I don't want to stop you.
yes, no, I mean, yes.
Okay.
You say you received the variance because anyway, 2 feet off of that.
Yes, yeah, we actually we did.
Sir, in the uploaded documents, there were 3 letters. One from the fire marshal, one from the city engineer, and one from staff requesting additional information for you to provide. I didn't see any of that information uploaded, and I didn't hear that information presented tonight. Can you respond to that? Because there was quite significant information that was requested. Maybe before you respond, Ms. Castro, can you just summarize the things that were requested?
Yeah, so in my email on June 3rd, I requested the current square footage of the building because that wasn't shown on the plans. I also questioned where the new ADA parking spaces would be going, because the current spaces, they have their truck parked there, but the current spaces are where the addition is gonna be proposed. And the parking layout, the parking count doesn't meet today's parking requirements, and more importantly, the site plan didn't match the actual layout. If I can pull up the site plan for you, and I'll share. So this is the proposal of the site plan. As you can see here, there's several parking spaces in the lower left corner. But that doesn't show here on the current visual of what the site looks like. Also, how would those sites be accessed? So there was some clarification needed there. And the city engineer noted in his letter that the application is lacking sufficient detail to provide an adequate review.
Is there a fire marshal letter? I'm sorry.
The fire marshal letter just requested the fire protection plans for review.
So you have a variance and I find it now and it says it's the 12 feet. But the plan says you're 10 feet too in the property line. So we have conflict with what the variance says and what the proposal is. If I'm not reading this correctly, somebody needs to tell.
There are a lot of things to really need you to.
Well,
address.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm really caught by surprise because the last thing that I was asked was like, I would say like 10 days ago. And maybe I missed an email from you, Miss Castro, but I haven't seen that list of, things that you guys are mentioning right now. So I was in any form or shape under the impression that I'm, like where I am required to bring more stuff. I didn't know at all that for the fire marshal, because I didn't know that we are coming today for the structure itself. I mean, my engineer actually should have been here. Probably he would have been more like into details, but I thought that this is not one and done. Like when it comes for structure, then it has to be completely different set plans and stuff like that. That would be, sent to, for approval. And that's when the fire marshal probably enters. I don't know.
The fire marshal's request was not prior to the commission's review of the application. It was prior to obtaining building permits. So that one you had time on. The concern
Yeah,
was
that's-
the plans don't match what exists currently.
So Ms. Castro, is he on the clock here?
It's a site plan application. It has 65 days to approve or to make a decision, which will likely bring us into August.
We can go back to the next meeting and answer all the questions.
So, sir, I can push this over to the next meeting, okay? But understand that, all the things are gonna need to be addressed and clearly addressed. All these things are communicated with you. It's your responsibility to follow up on these things. It's not staff's responsibility. All these things are posted on the site, are communicated to you. Commissioner Oppo indicated that there's a setback issue. So, essentially all these things have to be addressed, or this commission is really gonna have only one direction to go.
No, I'm not, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm so worried. But the thing is, like, I need more like probably a list or something like from somewhere.
Everything is listed there, sir. It's all uploaded onto your application page. Everything's been emailed or communicated with you, so you need to follow up with that information. I'm sure you can contact staff tomorrow and get the list, and then definitely check the setback. Because if the setback is 2 feet off, we're not gonna be able to approve it if the setback is incorrect. The parking layout, again, everything that was laid out there, so, I can indicate to you that we can put this on the July meeting, but it can't go past the July meeting, so if things aren't laid out and clear for next month, unless you're asking for an extension next month, we'll have to make a decision next month.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue application 616 to next month's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is application 2617, Galvey, Dominic Thomas for FS Shell LLC at Galvey at 245, 295 Bridgeport Avenue, Assessors Map 28, Lot 18, requesting a minor modification to the previously approved, excuse me, 1,000 square foot enclosed patio to allow a 1,000 square foot covered patio for the restaurant Galvey, located at the north end of 295 Bridgeport Avenue, retail laundry.
They actually had another one delivered, right?
Oh, sorry, 795 Bridgeport Avenue, retail laundry. Review, discuss, and possible action. Ms. Castro and Mr. DeGangi, do you have any comments or concerns on this request for the minor modification?
No, we didn't have any concerns. It fell in line with the character of that building. And it was in line with the existing patio that the commission had previously approved. It's just a redesign.
So, Mr. Thomas, to summarize, we approved quite some time ago a closed 4-season patio. This is now a second floor blueprint, a 3-season patio.
The 4-season patio was delivered and, believe it or not, did not meet American building structural standards. It couldn't be put up because nobody wanted the patio to collapse on them in the middle of between the second course and the third course. So they had to go back to the drawing board, and this is what they came up with. I think 3-season patio with a roof is what you got.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there's walls, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's 4 has walls. 3
The
open?
one that was approved had, you could enclose it, you could close it up, and you had actually heaters inside of it. This one can be stretched into 3. Heaters do work sometimes, but pretty much guarantee you that we're not going to be serving a Korean Asian steak dish in 10-degree weather in the middle of January. So
these are open areas.
yes, these are, yeah, you have the and you had, they're up on the screen. You have the picture of it from the front back, and it basically is in the same footprint as what was approved.
Would it be the applicant's intention to come back at some future date for real walls?
I have no idea, but I mean, these type of patios, you can eventually put those things that open and close, there's partitions that you can put in there. But right now, I don't think that's their intention. No intention. We have the applicant here. No, there's no intention to do that at the present time.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minor modification under application 2617, change the approved 1,000 square foot enclosed patio to a 1,000 square foot covered patio. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As it's 6-0. Next is the minutes. Approval for May 13th, 2026 minutes. Does any commissioner have any comments for the May 13th, 2026 meeting minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the May 13th, 2026 minutes as submitted. All in favor? Aye. Okay, commission comments from the chairman. Last week, members of the smoke shop subcommittee, met as well as myself and staff. We gathered to discuss potential regulation changes related to smoke shops. No votes were taken. And we anticipate having a draft of regulations prepared for review at a future meeting. Comments from staff, Ms. Castro?
So the city will be working with the consulting firm to update regulations relating to Public Act 25-1, which changed the regulations for reviewing applications for housing. We are a little bit delayed in reviewing this prior to the July 1st deadline. We're aware of that. Council is reviewing the proposal with the consulting firm, and we expect to have that solidified soon. And then we will have some special meetings added in so that we can meet that deadline. The deadline is the first, but we have applications that I know will be coming in the coming months. So we want to make sure we have some good background information.
You expect to have one in June?
Likely not in June.
So we're not meeting that deadline.
We're not meeting that deadline, but we're trying to beat the time of the application fees.
Okay.
Mr. McGann? No comments. Okay, seeing we have all the business.
Do we have a meeting June 24th?
No.
We don't think so.
Not correctly.
Not current.
Seeing we have no other, any items on the agenda, I thank everybody for the patience tonight, and I declare this meeting adjourned at 8:00.